Mr. Callaway and Mr. Callaway, for the purpose of this conversation, I'm going to say junior and senior, if that's cool. Because, man, I'm looking forward to freestyling with you guys tonight. And first off, thank you so very much for taking the time out of your guys' busy schedule. I know season's here and you guys are rocking and rolling, but I want to thank you guys very much for being here. And I want to start off too by really saying how much respect I have for you both and for your family. I've had the opportunity to spend time with you guys personally, one-on-one, and we had an incredible time when you guys were down here at the Gold Digger Retreat in Anguilla. Very, very special time. And I just want you to know I've just the utmost respect, love and appreciation, and the way that you guys pay it forward is absolutely phenomenal. So thanks in advance for myself, my team, and from the audience that's watching this, and really looking forward to jamming here with you guys. Thank you.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
So, it's been obviously quite a journey for the company, for K&L Industries, but it's been quite a journey for you, Keith Senior, since you've started in this industry. You've been in the industry for longer than 30 years. We've just been, we just spoke a little bit about that in the waiting room, that you've been in the business for about 34 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
And, this 34-year journey, if you go back 34 years, how old were you then, if you don't mind me asking, about 34 years ago?
Oh, well, got to do the math. I was, 22.
You're 22 years old, and I know there's 22-year-olds, people in their 20s that are actually watching this right now and starting their businesses for the first time. Mm-hmm. And I see, we all see your son that's below you, that's a part of this incredible journey and making huge differences in the business as well and contributing. And I just want to bring everybody back in time. Let's do the back to the future type of an event here. But 34 years ago, did you have dump trucks and pavers and huge teams in your company and the level in which your business is operating right now? Was it like that back when you were 22 years old?
Not even close. No.
Can you tell us about what it was? What did it look like back then? And was it K&L Industries back when you were 22?
When I was 19, I started 20. I started K&L Industries with a friend, and within a year, he was off doing something else because the company couldn't support two people through the winter. And we were fine with that. We're still friends today. But I kept the name, kept moving forward. I dabbled a little bit in paving because my in-laws were in the business. And I thought, okay, I see the number of dollars that they make per hour. And I said to myself, that's where I need to head. But I am the proverbial story of the guy that had nothing. And so I couldn't even start. I had no resources. And so I literally had my pickup, and that was it. And so I went out and I knocked on doors doing roofing jobs, tree jobs, anything I could find. And that went on for about 3 years. And I learned a lot. Let me tell you, real quick story on my first roof. I had to read the package on the back of the bundle because I had no idea how to put it on. I sold the job and had no idea how to put it on. So I had to and then the next job was a tear off. And I get down underneath the roofing and I'm tearing it off and throwing it on the guy's flower beds. And I have to go to the lumberyard and ask them what to do now. What do I do now? And so I had to go back to the guy and go, oh man, I have to put plywood on this. And I had no idea. He paid me extra to do that. And so that's really how I started. And I've done everything like that. I guess I don't need to know, but I can sell it. So if I can sell it, there's got to be a way to do it. So it sounds like I'm a man of great courage, but really it was just I got to go make some money today. So I'm just going to go sell something that looks like it might make me some money.
What was the purpose for making the money back then? Was it to feed yourself? What was the purpose? What was the why as to why you were working and wanting to build a company at such a young age?
Well, by this time I started paving full time in '87, late '87, and then I went really full time January 1, basically of '88. I bought a couple of things, took some money out of some picture frames that we had hanging on the wall that we had tucked away. Literally took that money out, told my wife, sorry, I got to spend it. I went and I bought a little dump bed thing and put it in the back of my pickup, and we patched holes 2 tons at a time. That's all I could carry. But by then I had 2 kids and the third one on the way. So
Wow.
I always thought that, that maybe if I had kids early, I could grow up with them. That didn't work out so well for me. I didn't really grow up very well, but we love kids. My wife and I were meant to have them. We have 7 and a whole bunch of grandkids now. And so that's what life has always been about. And that was the why. By the time I got into paving, I needed something I could make more money per hour so that I could be home on the weekends, so that I could have my evenings with my kids, as many of them as possible. And so that was the why.
So you go through this period of building this business alone. You were alone at the time, of course, after your partner. And the why was really to make sure you're feeding yourself. You get into the paving business, you start having children, and your why dramatically changed at that point because you had responsibility other than yourself, and you wanted to have some free time to spend with your children. And now let's fast forward until where we are today, because there's a big fast forward chunk here.
Yep.
You reinvested into your business. You're at a point now where you are able to go on vacations with your whole family and rent nice big houses and be able to travel, come down to the Caribbean with a few of your children and really come down here and spend quality time that is not necessarily geared towards business specifically. It's geared towards personal growth and just enjoying your family time and creating experiences and memories of a lifetime. So, for everybody watching right now, I got a really good lesson here just while we were in the waiting room. And the lesson was the true reason, the true why. Purity of intent's a powerful word, the powerful words. Why is something that, a lot of people focus on money being the why, when indeed it's not actually the why. It's what you can transact the money to get you, to nourish you, to give you experiences, to be able to share, to help people, to donate, to help charities, etc. That's the why, right? Is that what am I understanding that right?
Yeah, absolutely. At a team meeting Monday morning, I went back to that with my whole team. And I said, guys, I want you to remember along with me that we just need to be shoulder to shoulder and have good teamwork here. And I'm telling you, most of you already know this, but I'm not about the money.
No.
If we're being a good team, and if our salesmen are doing their job, we're doing our job, I'm doing my job, then the money's going to take care of itself.
It would seem to me that one would be a hell of a lot more motivated to go out and work really hard and to invest into their business to get bigger returns on what it is that they're investing in, not for the money, but because of the true why, the true end reason. So if you have to feed your children, you're going to work really, really hard. If you have to feed your family, you got to pay your mortgage, you've got to have the accommodations. You want that free time with your family to create memories. You have to work your ass off in order to get that done. And to me, I wouldn't be as motivated working for the money. I'd be more motivated working for the destination. And that's a really powerful share. Everybody listening to this, that's really important to take into consideration. It's not about the job that you do. It's about the actual result of what you get after you've completed the job. not only for yourself, but for your client. What is the result? What is this story that has been built through this journey of creating that? So I'd love to hear a little bit about the story side of this with you, because there's something that's interesting. And Keith Jr., I'd love to hear this from you a little bit, relating to building a story around what it is that you do in your daily activities that is can be remarketed, that can be perhaps referrals from a client, et cetera. Why don't you tell us about kind of what you do, or an example of what happened today with you?
Oh, well, we showed up at a job site, and like every day, we this was about a week ago. We paved a parking lot, and the guy, one of his main complaints to me was, "Hey, there's this puddle that I'd like to have fixed." And we pave it, leave. It's a beautiful 80-degree day. It looks great. Water from the roller is running right where it's supposed to go, and it rains like 2 days later, and he shoots me a picture, and I just shake my head and go, I missed it. I missed, and he said, and what I found out this morning is that what his wife said was, "I'm not paying for that." His wife's drawing a line in the sand. And before I even have this conversation, I say, "Well, is there a possibility it's a multifamily place?" And I said, can I schedule a morning to come fix that? And he thought we were just going to fix just these tiny little areas. And we did about 25% of the parking lot again. And he was just standing there just wide eyed. And he goes, "Why did you do that?" And I said, "Well, you didn't pay for a halfway job. You paid for a whole job." And I said, "And this looks like we did it the right way. Even though there's now a patch in it, it looks like we did it the right way." And I said, would you say that what we did is going to please your wife and it's going to last longer than it would have otherwise? And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, that's what matters. And, and to him, it was just like this, oh my goodness, that's amazing.
So he's not going to go and speak about how the price was really great, or you're the lowest priced company in the area. That's not your story. It's about being the lowest priced.
It's never about the price. It's about the value you bring and the values.
Tell us about that. Tell us about the values.
One of the things that we stole from one of our good friends is Kevin over at ADC, and I first saw this and it said no bad jobs. No bad jobs. It's in their shop, and that's one of the things we talk about every day. And I think those values and that no bad job mentality has gotten it's infectious, because when you start looking at people and their problem and say, "I'm going to care for your problem," and it's about fixing their problem, then the money seems less important. And the interaction you get with people comes deeper than just a transaction for a product. You get to become friends. And I can't tell you how many people in the last 6 months I've become Facebook friends with that I've worked for. I just got engaged, and I had one of my customers write me a text saying, "Hey, I just saw on Facebook that you're engaged. Congratulations."
Congratulations.
And I'm like, I barely know this guy, but he reached out, and It was important to him that because I took the time to tell him that he was important to me, and that I wanted to make sure that I took care of his problems on the other side. So the values become a lifestyle. They're not just what you do in business.
How have values, Keith Senior, like the values within your company? Can you outline a little bit about the values that you guys have in the company and how that maybe has helped you with hiring, with the culture in your company? Like what do you guys stand for, and does that attract people to you? And has that helped you over the years in building a great team? Because I know you guys at National Payment Expo, man, I saw your guys' team, and wow, what a team and what incredible leaders. And why don't you tell us a little bit about the values, the core values, and how that's helped you guys with your teams?
Well, I've taken a little different track than most when it comes to most people will, it seems, will start a company and then perhaps as they hire, start thinking about, well, what kind of culture do I want to have here? But mine came from a different place, because here I'm concerned about my kids and my family, feeding them. I'm also concerned with the idea that, am I going to be the father and the man that I'm supposed to be? And so literally there was a day in my mid-20s where I made a lifelong commitment that I would pray a little every day, that I would read the Bible just a little bit every day. And for me, that's like taking vitamins. That's like eating. And so fast forward to where I spend a lot of time alone doing work, doing paving and whatever with a couple of guys. They come and go. But when I got a few that stayed, I had this value system that was based on the why. And so that value system, as much as it drives some people crazy, it's solid. Once I get there, once I've arrived at a certain moral decision or an ethical decision, that's it. I'm done. I don't have to think about that one again because now I'm there. And when it comes to putting the values in and then nurturing those values as I go through life, I call it a quest. It's not just a process. A quest is something that you walk down a road and you hit the walls and you have problems and you go through storms and you go through valleys and you're on mountaintops. And a quest is one of those where you experience all of that. And as you go through the quest, the value is what stays with you the whole time. The emotions come and go, but the value stays for every moment of the quest. And you find out as you get further on in the quest that, oh, that value wasn't actually something I needed. I've changed it to now something better or different. And so that's my story in regards to culture. So when I actually started thinking about this, and it became kind of trendy to think about culture, then I went, wait a minute, we've already got this. The guys already know. They have a loyalty to me. And they know that I care about quality. I care about the customer. I care about referrals because that's going to be our job tomorrow and 3 months from now. And so they just started picking that up. And now we talk about it a lot more, like it's something that's out there. But we didn't even talk about it very much 10 years ago.
So powerful.
So
powerful. And Keith Jr., I want to hear this from you. So Dad just says this, and you're obviously, you're raised in the household and you've gone through your journey and you're in the business, entrenched fully in the business, and you're working with guys that are a part of the team every single day. Have you found that quest, that energy, that thinking has poured into you and into the teams that are a part of your company? Has this virally spread in a positive sense, so to speak? When I say viral, I don't want to talk a whole lot about it viral, but you know what I mean. Has it spread? Has the love and the quest really spread? And are you seeing that as something that's had a tremendous impact on the business?
Yeah, there's a lot of value that quest has given, not just to the business. Like, put the business aside for a minute. If you can get people to buy in to your vision, the vision that you have for your organization, but specifically how they fit into that organization and what it can do for their family by buying in, and for them personally by getting all the way in the boat, you have a magical experience for your employees. Now, I'll use a guy that we've had working for us for a couple of years. He's got a checkered past, like a lot of guys in the paving industry do. And he just bought a house. And he came in and he said, yeah, I would never have got here if it weren't for you guys. And I said, no, you would have got here. And he goes, well, you guys played it. I said, no, Gabe, the difference is you listened. I didn't do anything. You asked questions and I gave you some insight, or my dad gave you some answers about what the next thing is to get to your goal. And all we did was offer words. What you did was pick those words up and change your life. And that becomes a platform for change here. We teach, I often tell guys, I'm like, listen, Monday, that same meeting that we were talking about, I shared how I do one thing is how I do anything. Because it just irritates me when there's trash. I know we're tired at the end of the day, and I don't want to do it either. But I don't like stuff rolling out of my pickup when I get out and the customer, I have to pick up the trash before I can go shake their hand or say hello.
Right.
You know, and it's a measure of who I am on the inside, what the inside of my truck looks like, or what I show up looking like. Is my hair, you know, do I have personal hygiene? What is that saying about me? What is it saying about the company I represent? And specifically, what is it saying about the ceiling for my life? If I don't care enough to brush my hair, are you going to trust me with that really big contract? You know, and we talk about how these things relate from, you know, tying your shoes in the morning, showing up, offering something in, you know, rather than getting mad at someone, say, hey, you know, maybe when we're in a minute, we can talk about how that went, because I think there might be a way that we can both grow from this, as opposed to just erupting at each other, you know, and that culture of having open and honest dialogue, and sometimes having somebody that can go and moderate and mediate and say, hey, you know, what did you do that you could have done better in this situation? I don't want to know what anybody did wrong. I just want to know what you could have done better. And what did you do that you could have done better? Because if we can both agree that we could do something better together, then it doesn't matter what happened. That means there's opportunity for growth, and you're not focusing on the negative. You're catapulting yourself onto a positive. And that's that culture that we're talking about.
Great tips on bringing the team together and forward. I mean, that's. I hope people have embraced that during this webinar. In regards to your guys, are you seeing that your team are they generally wanting to stay in the position that they're in, or are they looking now, based upon this positive reinforcement, this team collaborative effort and so on, are they wanting to advance and grow into a position that might be, you know, I won't say higher up on the totem pole, but maybe as an operator, you know, truck driver, paver, like, are people wanting to grow past their position based upon that nourishment that you're giving them?
Well, I'll address that real quick. Use one of the guys as an example. We did basically, I forget what we call them. Basically, interviews with the guys talking about, you know, their goals and different things, and most of them had never thought about it before. But one of them, that as the dialogue went on, he talked more and more about the idea that, you know, maybe I have the personality to own my own business someday. And, you know, but I said, okay, what do you got to do to get there? And we had several long talks about what that means, as far as what he has to know, the things he needs to figure out between now and then. And then as he's moving forward, maybe he should probably own a house and some other stuff before that. So how many dollars an hour does he need to make? Compare that with where he is now. And then he defined the process of how to get there. He figured it out. And I said, okay, then the first thing you need to do is learn this skill. And then I think you go and learn that one. And then perhaps at some point you'll learn this third one. And if you can get those three this year, that'll get you partway there. And then next year we'll give you some more. And I said, so when do you want to own your own business? And he said, 6 or 8 years from now. And I said, oh man, you might get there sooner, but we have some time, and that's good. I'm glad you're being patient, but I want to help you, because when you get in business, you're going to have my values, and we're going to use you as an asset. We're going to make you as a businessman. Is we'll feed you stuff that you won't believe, but you got to learn it now. And he's like, cool. So that was pretty exciting.
That sounds to me a lot like goal setting. So you're basically doing some goal setting with your team, and just kind of allowing them to evaluate where they are and where they're wanting to go. So from a goal setting perspective, one of the things that I think is really important here is for people to understand what goal setting tricks or things that you did to ultimately impact the trajectory of your business forever. Like, is there something in particular that really changed the way that you guys grew? Or did it, in other words, was your graph a slow, steady growth pace, or was there something that happened relating to goal setting Could be sales related, could be service, it could be culture. But let's speak a little bit about some of the key things that really impacted you guys during this journey.
Talk about the last 5 years or so, Keith.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm just short of 5 years sober. This year I'll be 5 years sober. So that in itself, thank you. God willing, I'll knock on wood, I'll get there. But when I showed up broken, right, and I did my best to put us out of business. I tried my darndest. I'm not a quitter. And I really tried, but it didn't actually happen. And the last 5 years have gone like this. What we did in 2016, we grew 50% in 2016. And then we grew another 50% in 2017. And we grew another 50% in 2018. And we grew, like, you see a trend here. Like we just keep adding these chunks on that and some of these things, like I look back at last year and I'm like, we added more than we did in 2016 as a total onto what we did in 2019. Like we just added a whole year right onto the end of the bottom line. And the growth, the goal setting came as a natural, it was like a natural landmark. We started to gather first. I mean, if you don't have values and you don't have values left or right with your people, it's going to be really hard to have a standard to hold them to. And so the first goal for us was to have people, and this sounds crazy because most industries don't have this problem. One of our first goals was show up on time every day. Right? Show up on time every day. It seems like a crazy high standard for the paving industry. Well, that one just led itself into, okay, now we got consistent people, we can build a business. Then what's the next logical step? And it grew from values into sales goals into, okay, we're now a mom and pop shop that we don't know how to do this on a scalable level. We probably need some help. And we got some outside help to help us structure the sales side, because that's something that you need sometimes some help with.
Speak. Brian Hess just showed up and says, "What's up, boys?" By the way, so yeah.
And so we in all of the facets of business, you got your people over here, you got your sales over here, you got your marketing, all of these different things, and every single one of them, we had a real lack of structure. And one of the things that we're realizing is that we're not great with the structure in general. But what we do know is that every time that we put some effort in, we get a little better and a little better and a little better. And every year that we've done this over the last 5 years, I can't even begin to explain to you what we have today and the systems and processes and how advantageous and frustrating they are at the same time, that allow us to be successful. When we started working with Brian a year ago, I couldn't have told you what my job cost was or my per ton rate, and my what each one of these jobs, or by the week, what our profitability was. But if I asked my mom runs the office, if I asked her, hey, this week, what was our cost? In a few minutes, she could get it to us. What did we collect on? What didn't we collect on? What is our, what's our accounts receivable aging stuff look like? I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars on an organizational level we lost because we lost our ability to collect it. Because we simply were so unorganized that we had no idea that we could collect it. And that's the some of the goals. Goals don't have to be big. You don't have to write I'm going to sell $1 million or $5 million. But if you don't have a goal, you're never going to get anywhere. So pick something that you think, whatever you think is doable, add a little on top of it, because if you miss that goal and you end just a little bit short, you just still won anyway.
It's, so Brian just wrote this: wisdom partnered with relentless pursuit of a singular vision is a powerful thing. The steady hand and the steady mind always, in capital letters, win. And it's so true. And so really the goal setting that you guys have put together with your team individually, and the goal setting you've done corporately for the business, that goal setting has been something that's obviously been crucial for you guys. Have you found that the sprint goals, the smaller, sprint goals, are you finding that's more productive and more effective for your business? Or are you finding that the long-term kind of marathon goals, or a little bit of both, have worked better for the business? And I'm asking either one of you for that one. Just rock and roll when you're ready.
I think that the short-term goals are key for gaining that momentum back if you lose it. It's really important if you're struggling with what to do today, to set, okay, I'm going to get through these 3 things before lunch. And then I'm going to get through, I'm going to consider today a win if I get through these 10 tasks. And if you look at the task and you forget about, I'm not selling right now, or I'm not doing this, or I'm not performing at what I need to. Okay, we'll break it down to this morning. Figure out what's going to make you feel successful. I start by making my bed, because it's important to me to feel like I just did something well today. And I read that when I was in rehab, but developing those small goals lead to chasing the big ones that are a lot harder to get much easier. Like it just becomes a system and a momentum thing for me.
It's interesting because it's almost like the to-do list is fuel for the real goal. They're all real goals, but the to-do list are sprint goals that are like the fuel that gets you towards your bigger goals that you're wanting to accomplish. i.e., if you're wanting to do $7 million this year, or whatever the number is, could be 700,000, it could be 200,000. If that's the number that you're setting up for your season, then you know that you have to break that down backwards and set up to-do lists every single day that fuel the ability to get closer to that goal in a structured fashion. And making your bed is part of doing that, because you get the dopamine rush that allows you to feel the way that you feel after you do it accomplished. And then you get dressed and you shave up or you clean up, whatever it is, and you get ready to go and attack your day. Make sure your trucks are clean, garbage is out of your trucks. Make sure that you're getting out on the road with all your safety equipment, and making sure that you're getting to a job site. Once you get to the job site, you clean up after your job. Make sure not to leave a bunch of shit out on the road, because at the end of the day, when you that, it's going to impact you negatively and prevent you from getting closer to that big goal that you've set. I'm just laying out a few little things here, but that's the truth, I think, is that every single day, Brian has taught this in top contractor school a lot, and I think that, I'm using it more and more. I probably could do it more, but setting up a daily agenda. So to do every morning, waking up and actually writing down the things that I'm doing, or even the night before, and versus letting it go to mush, right? So easy to get distracted nowadays with cell phones and social media and everything else. And if you don't have some kind of structure laid out for your day, well, you're going to get distracted.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the company through the process, of course, has invested into equipment. So you started right at the beginning with drums and a paint mixer and buckets and pails, and you grew over the period of 30 plus years. Tell us about the importance of reinvesting into your business. Keith Senior.
Well, I wish I'd have figured this out a lot sooner, truthfully, because I was in business for more than 15 years paving before I bought my first motorized paver. So 15 years of pulling a drag box around with a dump truck, sometimes with a tractor, whatever it took. That was the coolest moment we did back in the late 80s when we bought a tractor. It was like amazing. It revolutionized what we did. But 15 years of pulling a drag box around. And I did industrial job. I did all kinds of work and with a drag box. But I wish I'd have learned earlier that try different things. Go to the people, especially in this environment. Truthfully, you can get help if you ask for it. back then, the only ones that would help me were the equipment dealers that would offer me equipment, but for double the price because I couldn't afford to buy it. So they would finance me. Yeah, they'd carry me for a little while, but it would cost me a lot more money. And they did help me, truthfully. They did help. But I wish I'd have learned early on to buy better and to imagine better equipment and doing things just a tiny bit faster. I was so concerned with the why that I didn't understand that if I concentrated for a few minutes on being a little bit more productive, that I wouldn't have to worry so much about the why in every moment. And so I gave up a lot of productivity because I didn't look ahead. I didn't have any vision that way. And I was standing with a guy the other day. He's 25 years in business, and he looks at me and says, 35 years in business. That's amazing. And I said, actually, I don't see myself as not a good businessman at all. And he said, that can't be true. And I said, well, just because I'm tenacious and I can take pain doesn't mean I'm a good businessman. I'm good. I can do those two things. And wow. He kind of got the point. I can take a lot of pain. And what I didn't back up from the pain long enough to see that if I swung a deal on a really good roller and a really good paver, that it could have revolutionized what I did earlier. I just didn't see it. I couldn't get into the concept because I was too worried about the why, taking money home to the kids. If I bought a new paver, it would take money away from them. So I thought. I've learned that that's not necessarily true.
So what changed that mindset?
Well, about 5 years ago. Well, I should say 10 years ago when things were really rolling before the recession hit in 2008. I was on the job a lot, and we had some halfway decent equipment. We really did. It was not new, and we should have probably bought new or newer. But we had some pretty productive days. But I was so worried about making everything perfect that I slowed production down. So logistically, I was kind of getting in the way. So when Keith Jr. came along 5 years ago, and especially as we got into the 4 years ago and 3 years ago, it's like his brain woke up to the logistics and that his skill was amazing in that way and that production could be better. And he took on the let's get better today 1%. And so he got better 1% every day. I'm catching up. I'm trying to get better 1% every month. And he's getting better 1% every day. And all of a sudden we're doubling our gross. And we're running out of work because the guys can't sell it fast enough. And I'm just sitting here going, oh my goodness, we got to have more sales guys. And so that's how it's evolved in my mind. And I always feel like I'm catching up.
What incredible golden nuggets that we've just shared there, that you've shared. I think that this is a really important thing. And it's stated in the comments here during this webinar by Brian. Expense versus investment. And those are two interesting things. So an example was bringing your whole crew to Nashville to the National Pavement Expo an expense, or was it an investment?
It depends on if you're an accountant.
You see where I'm going on this?
Yeah.
It's really important. Is a paver that can double the efficiency of laying pavement an expense, or is it an investment? And I'll tell you, I truly believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that it's an expense if it's not operating. It is an investment if it gives you a return on the investment.
Yeah.
Right. And so So I think this is a really important thing to discuss right here is in a lot of businesses, a lot of people end up seeing, a piece of equipment or supplies that might be premium quality supplies, sealer, et cetera. They might see it as an expense. It's costing me money. It's only costing you money if it doesn't give you anything back.
Right.
I think there's a couple of things that as a guy in the field that I have been able to process the switch. Because I remember, I wrote down in my notes, the first time that we had a hydraulically agitated sealer tank was 2008. That's 20 years he'd been in the business before he had a hydraulically agitated sealer tank. We did it the old fashioned way. From knowing what we know now, that was one of the dumbest things we've ever done. Knowing what we know now. But we didn't know any better. There's no way we could have understood the value that it would bring to spend that money on those pieces of equipment. The same holds true with pavers, rollers, skid steers. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If it's on the job and it's making you money, then don't be wasteful by any means. But if you need something and it's something you use every day, if you can put 500 plus hours on a machine in a year, then it might be worth having a new one, depending on what it is. And I'll give you an example of this. About a month ago, we paved 1,734 tons in one day. The most we'd ever done before that was a little over 1,100-ish. I don't know the exact total because paperwork was not our strong suit in 2007, 8, and 9. But I can tell you that in 10 hours, we averaged 180 tons an hour. And in just under 10 hours, we did 1,732 point something tons. We blew the old record out of the water by 600 tons. And there are some weeks now that even as a big company, we don't do 600 tons. And we did 1,700 in a day because we had the people, we had the tools, we had all of the things in place. And that morning, I looked at the guys and I said, "Do you think this is possible?" And they're like, "I don't know. I mean, the only way to know is if we try." And I said, "Well, do you think it's possible?" And they're like, "I mean, let's try." And 10 hours. It took 10 hours to pave what it used to take. That would have taken, we would never have gotten the job 10 years ago. I wouldn't have known how to bid it. I wouldn't have known what we could do. I wouldn't have known any of that. But we had the tools, we had the opportunity, and we had that matched with the culture that said, "Yeah, let's try. Why not? Well, worst that's going to happen is we don't finish."
Sounds a lot like Dad. It sounds a lot like Dad in his earlier years. Making the decision to sell it and go after it, and you made it work. Now, the scale of the job, you go after something that you do believe you can accomplish, where you say, "I believe I can do this," because that's the only reason why you'd start. If you truly don't believe that you can do it, don't start in the first place. Because chances are, if you don't believe you can do it, you're going to probably fail. That's the reality of it is. Mm-hmm. You have to be willing to try it. Otherwise, walk away. And it's the same for anybody getting in this business. If you already believe that in your head, if you've already psychologically trained yourself to believe that you can't do it, don't bother. The equipment that you invest into will you'll find a way to pay that back. Make it an investment. You'll pay that equipment off. Generally, if you invest into it and you believe that you can sell the jobs in order to use it. As an example, you guys recently invested into a bunch of equipment, did you not?
The last 2 years, we've invested a lot in a lot of equipment.
Like $2,000 or $3,000, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe a bit more, but yes.
At a bunch of zeros. The bottom line is that if you have that stuff sitting in your parking lot and you're not on the horn calling those outbounds that you've been talking about doing, that you guys have been doing. John, right? That also has been doing some sales work.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of sales work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so if you have those to-dos every day because you want to make sure that that equipment is not an expense, you're going to do the necessary legwork to make sure it's an investment giving you the return. And next thing you know, you're doing 1,700 tons. So what's the next goal, right? Is it 2,500 tons? But the reality of it is, if a project came about right now that had 2,500 tons, how long would it take you to do it?
Today, I would say one day.
It's beautiful, right?
I would tell you that there's, if other people can do it, we can do it. Because I believe in what we have. I believe in the people. I believe that if as a ownership group, we give them all the tools, that there's the sky's the limit. There's no ceiling to their productivity and their level of success. And that, I think that's like, when you walk in knowing that you've given your guys everything that they need to be successful, not just at work, but at home, given that, you teach them the tools in life to unwind sticky situations, but you teach it to them at work around other guys, where in this industry, it's normal to yell and scream at each other and then just not like each other at work for forever. Well, it's not what we want.
Right.
We're trying to give everybody the tools every day to go to work and be successful, and not just here, but at home.
That's incredible. I have a question that's come in. By the way, anybody who has any questions, feel free to throw them into the questions area in this chat. We've got quite a few questions actually popping in. But there's a question that came in. What is the one thing or learned behavior that made the biggest change to grow the sales side of your business? What is the one thing or learned behavior that made the biggest change to grow the sales side of your business?
I would say that being afraid of it, being nervous about approaching somebody is all false. It's all false. That if you start all the way down the road at saying, if I don't ask, I never get. Great example. One of my guys pulled into a parking lot on a Saturday, and he called the number on the sign. The parking lot was horrible, and he called the number on the sign. And I won't go into the whole story, but 2 or 3 months earlier, because we had taught him how to cold call and have some success cold calling, 2 or 3 months earlier, he never would have done that. And now he trips on other things, but he's not nervous to get on the phone. He's not nervous to be bold on the initial contact. And that's one of the things that I've struggled with my whole life. I second guess of what's the person going to think of me? What's going to be their response? And I'm still at 56 years old trying to get over that. It doesn't matter what their response is, because it just doesn't matter. There's no way to quantify it unless you ask them and see what their response is going to be. So that's one of the biggest things, I think, is that we've learned this year because of this pandemic, because of the goals we set as a team. When the pandemic hit, we'd all got all charged up down at NPE, and it didn't change one thing. Our guys were looking at us and they're like, well, what do we do? And we got together in a meeting and we said, you know what? Not only are we going to do what we planned on doing, we're going to do more. And we're going to cold call. We're going to make sure you guys have qualified lists. And my wife and I were just talking the other day that, man, some people have exhausted their Netflix list, and I haven't even spent not 1 hour in the last 8 weeks. I'm kind of mad about that, truthfully. I would love to watch one movie and fall asleep halfway through, I'm sure, but I'd love to just watch one Netflix thing because we have just been pushing. And that's because they were willing, they were ready. All they needed for us to say, guys, let's do it. It doesn't change a thing. Let's do this. And some of our lead generation has doubled and tripled because other contractors stopped. And we're getting more leads. So we've done 3 times more bids, I think, up to this time of the year than we did last year. Maybe 4 times.
That's incredible. And you know what more bids mean?
Well, it's just more in the pipeline. And we don't have to worry about the dollars. They'll come. We just need to get out there and touch the people.
That's such an important thing, such an incredibly important thing is that people who sit still and don't pick up the phone or don't knock on doors or are not proactive are generally not going to see results the same way somebody would who's really pushing and actually putting in the effort, the dedication, determination, and actually making that progress. And I think if there was one thing for people who are watching who are considering starting a business or already have a business that is struggling with maybe some motivation or perhaps some fear of the unknown, what I would urge, and tell me guys if you agree with this, what I would urge is get freaking uncomfortable and go after it. It's not that bad. Like, just do it. It's really not that bad. It's like the gym.
No, it's not. And to leverage that into what Brian asked, my side of it goes just one little step farther because I always felt like for 20 years, this is like I don't even know how many years I've been in this business. Full time, it's not been 20 years, but I will tell you that I felt like we were a gathering group of people. We would just take what fell on the ground in front of us, and we were just okay with it. And don't get me wrong, we made a living, but there wasn't any extra. There was no culture. There was nothing to write home about. There was nothing special about what we were doing. There was not a movement involved in picking up the fruit that falls from the tree off of the ground. I would say that the shift that's happened this last year is that we've gone from not just picking up the things that are in front of us being gatherers, but we've become hunters. And the guys that are really good in our bit that work for us, I feel like each one of our sales guys has a different avenue that they're specialized at. They're like snipers in their own little worlds and saying, Charlie's good at this, John's good at this, Lewis is good at this, Mark's good at this. And we've become a group that says we are going to get this. This is our goal, and this is your goal specifically, and we'll break it down into little pieces and say, as a group, we're really strong, but you're really not strong at this, and I'm really not strong at that. And so we've become a hunting and a pointed group
Team.
That everybody's got more skills that we can parlay into something bigger. And so I think that goal setting went into that, understanding who you have in your team and what they're good at. You got to understand their personalities and their skills. You can't put some guy who doesn't know Excel in charge of trying to create, your spreadsheets for your lists and your data. You got to have somebody who's got those skills. And so we've just identified each one of our guys and said, he's good at this, he's good at this, she's good at that. Where can we place these people that they're going to be the most value, and also they're going to feel valued because we're using something that they're really good at and maybe they even enjoy. So setting those goals, putting people in a position for success where we can go be snipers in the business market.
Sounds like creating a tribe that works together to ultimately go and achieve those goals. Like that's just so powerful. There is Brian. Yeah, they are absolutely incredible individuals, and I'm so blessed and so grateful to have them on sharing all this information. I know everybody is. Andrew Brown is asking a question. Andrew Brown's asking, what do you think would be the best way to get leads in a new driveway sealing business? I have my answer, but you guys feel free to answer.
For Dad.
Oh, the key word there is best. I don't know what's best, but I do know what's been working for us. I don't speak very highly of Home Advisor, but our bottom line is enhanced by Home Advisor, and their seal coating leads aren't really very expensive. So I would suggest looking into it at least. But I will say that Marvin Doles and some of the others, they do get some traction on Facebook. And the other company that works with us in our office is a roofing company, and they've gotten a lot of traction recently on Facebook ads, and they're not terribly expensive. So you got to push into these things and see how it's going to work. And the biggest frustration around here as we sit and talk is the money that we wasted on things that didn't work very well. And yet we literally have to try them. Unfortunately, you got to waste a little to make a lot. You're going to figure it out pretty fast. But of course, you talk to Home Advisor, Angie's List, these Thumbtack, with these other, and they say they're going to be amazing. Well, in different regions of the country, they are, and others they're not. And so you have to figure it out in your own area. But Home Advisor for us has gotten us in a lot of doors. There's some super big downsides to it, but the upside is we look at our bottom line at the end of every year and we say, okay, as frustrating as they are, it works.
Yeah. Keith, anything to add there? Keith Jr.?
I think that, it depends on your market, your size. If you're just starting, you're probably doing smaller driveways, and you're going to be knocking a lot of doors. There's nothing more effective than getting in front of people. That being said, depending on where you are and what's going on, I can't even believe this is coming out of my mouth. I have never been a guy that believed in cold calling. Never. But I will tell you that it has single-handedly revolutionized our business in this market. Because if you think about it, people are in the middle of this pandemic. They're sitting at home. They're glued like this to their phone. And if you can get in front of them, I don't care whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Google. I mean, you need to be able to get in front of them, but you got to be able to put a story with it. It can't just be a picture that says driveway sealing. People don't care about those pictures. They want to they want to know who you are. And so if you can come at them from a bunch of different angles with some cheap Facebook ads and some basic content on social, and then you couple that with following up with cold calling or sending out some flyers or knocking doors. These are things, these are old school things. There's one of the guys that I listen to for personal growth talks about the inefficiencies usually create the most value. Writing handwritten cards, picking up the telephone and calling someone, writing to people, like these things that take time, they add so much value to what you're doing.
Let me ask you a question. Did you spend time kicking and screaming when you were first told that you needed to do some cold calling?
I am not a quick starter, nor am I an easy sell. I'll tell you that. But it took me like a solid 6-8 months before I picked up the phone. And I remember the first day that I picked up the phone, I called Ryan and was like, "Hey, why didn't you tell me this was easy?" And he says, we had this interaction where he just kind of laughs. He says, "What do you mean?" I said, "These people all want what I have. They just don't know it." And he goes, "Yeah. Well, you have to yeah." He goes, "I was trying to tell you that a long time ago." I was like, "Well, you could have told me like in plain English that it was going to be easy." And yeah, if they hang up on you, like this is my favorite. If they hang up on me, I just keep calling back. And I'm like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on with your phone, but I got way too much value for me not to get this out to you. And I know if you have asphalt, there's no way that you don't need what we have." And you could it doesn't matter their answer. I've got some quick, witty response. And so these people are like, they have no idea what hit them.
That's incredible.
But yeah,
By the way, Andrew, check out Top Contractor School too. There's some really, really good stuff there. And feel free to reach out to, I know that Keith's happy to answer questions too on social and those kind of things. We all kind of work together. That's really the goal here, is to work together, and the gift of giving and just helping people is something that's the reason why we're on right now, is because we just want to, we want to help people and share a story, share this incredible adventure, share an incredible story about how K&L Industries is where it is today. And it's just the beginning. And it's, it's just the beginning, and that's so exciting. And I can see it on both of your faces, and I'm just, I'm ecstatic for your guys' growth. And I know you guys are going to do huge things. And I know that your team is going to do huge things. I know each one, most of the people on your team are going to go and have some incredible accomplishments as well. Yes, Keith is TCS cold calling now, and he's trained. You can see, I bet you Keith could throw down a role play right now that would be like platinum styled. Should we do it for fun? You want to do a platinum styled role play?
I'm down to role play anytime. I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world when I saw somebody do it. I'm like, why would you do that? And now I understand, because you're ready.
All right, so I'm a facility manager at a strip mall, and you saw a for rent sign in one of the units, and you're in your truck at the parking lot right now, and you're making a call to me from your cell phone. So ring, ring, ring. Hi there.
Hey, who am I talking with?
Oh, you're speaking with Jason.
Hey, Jason, what do you do over there?
I'm actually the facility manager for strip mall over here.
Awesome. That's exactly the person I was looking for. How's your day?
Day's going good. What's up?
Good. I catch you at a halfway decent time right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm good. Let's go.
Good. Hey, I'm a paving contractor. I noticed that you had a sign out here. I just happened to call because I was driving through your parking lot, and I noticed that you have some cracks and some potholes that might need some attention. And I wondered if you had a plan for getting those remedied.
Actually, you know what? I was noticing those as well, and I don't necessarily have somebody that I work with yet, but we've kind of done that on a reactive basis, and it's something we're going to need to get done. It's actually another section that we need to do some repaving work on as well.
Perfect. That's exactly why I'm calling. I wanted to put my name out there, get to know you a little bit, and see if there's a way that we could meet up and see if we could help solve some of your problems. Is there a time this week, like maybe Thursday or Friday, or next Tuesday, that works better?
Friday sounds great.
Perfect. 2:00 sound good?
I'm actually booked in the afternoon.
So 8?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
8 a.m. Friday. I'll see you there.
Right on. Oh man, that was, everybody. See how challenging that was? That was so challenging. By the way, role playing is awesome. You can do it with your brother, your sister, your spouse, your grandfather. You can do it with anybody that you want. Role playing is awesome, and it's good practice. That's butter. Right now, Keith just got a lead, and he's going to go to a commercial plaza on Friday at 8 a.m. and he's going to go and get some reactive work done. And then he's going to quote me on the repaving job. And he might ask if I know anybody else as a referral, and bingo, bango, the domino effect takes place. Guys, get off your ass and start making some cold calls. Start doing it, practicing it. It gets way easier. Keith Sr., Keith Jr., thank you so very much for all your shares. Always love being on with you guys. Love seeing you in person, giving you huge hugs. Cannot wait to see you guys next. Can't wait to make it out to Oregon to actually hop on the back of a paver with you guys and see you guys lay that black gold, man. Thank you guys so very much.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate you guys. All right, cool. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Asphalt Kingdom webinar. It's K&L Industries. Follow them everywhere on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Make sure to dial their number 50 times a day with all kinds of great leads in Oregon. And thank you so much for tuning in. Until the next time. Appreciate you all. Have a beautiful, blessed evening. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.